little guy here is my son. Fuck you, fascist!
In our last breakdown, we looked at the dark logic of Billy Butcher. We looked at the man who chose to become a monster just to fight them. But to understand why Butcher is so desperate, we have to look at the sun he orbits. We have to look at Homelander. The common consensus is that Homelander is a psychopath, a ticking time bomb, a man who simply lost his mind. But that is the easy answer. If you look at the logic of his creation, his environment, and his power, you realize something much more terrifying. Homelander isn't a glitch in the system. He is the system's greatest achievement. He isn't insane. He is inevitable. Most villains have a bad day that changes them. Homelander never had a day. He had a series of controlled experiments. From the moment he was born, every human interaction was filtered through a corporate lens. He wasn't raised, he was manufactured. Logic tells us that empathy is a learned behavior. We learn it from parents, from peers, from consequences. But Homelander was raised in a room where he was the most powerful thing in existence, yet had the least amount of agency. He was a god in a cage. When you remove the fundamental building blocks of human connection, such as touch, unconditional love, and privacy, you don't get a person. You get a product. Homelander's insanity is actually just a product functioning exactly as it was designed, to be powerful, to be needy, and to be controllable. The biggest logic flaw in Vought's design was the need for public approval. They didn't just want a soldier, they wanted a brand. They taught Homelander that his value was tied directly to his curating. If the numbers are up, he is loved. If the numbers are down, he is nothing. This created a feedback loop that makes his violence inevitable. A man who can fly and laser buildings doesn't need a crowd, unless he's been programmed to believe he's invisible without one. This is why Homelander doesn't just want to be feared. He wants to be loved. And that is the most dangerous combination in history. Fear is a deterrent. But the need for love is a vacuum that can never be filled. We often hear the phrase, power corrupts, but logically, power doesn't change who you are. It just removes the mask. Most of us are good because there are consequences for being bad. There are laws. There are physical limits. For Homelander, those limits don't exist. He can go anywhere. He can take anything. He can kill anyone. The only thing stopping him is a fragile, psychological thread held by Vought. When that thread snaps, it's not a breakdown. It's a realization. He isn't going crazy. He's waking up to the fact that no one can actually stop him. His violence isn't a loss of control. It's the ultimate expression of it. In our last episode, we talked about how Butcher and Homelander are mirrors. Butcher uses his pain to justify his cruelty. Homelander uses his destiny to justify his. They both believe they are the only ones who see the world for what it truly is. Butcher thinks the world is a playground for monsters. Homelander thinks the world is a playground for him. Logically, they need each other. Without Butcher, Homelander is just a bored god. Without Homelander, Butcher is just a broken man with a grudge. They are two sides of the same coin, mended by a society that values strength over character. The reason Homelander is inevitable is because Vought, and by extension, the public, demanded him. They wanted a savior they could sell. They wanted a hero who looked like a god but acted like a celebrity. You cannot create a being with the power of a deity and the emotional maturity of a child and expect anything else. If it wasn't John, it would have been Ryan. If it wasn't Ryan, it would have been Soldier Boy. The logic of the series dictates that as long as we worship power, we will eventually be destroyed by it. Homelander is simply the final result of that worship. As we head toward the conclusion of The Boys, the question isn't how Homelander dies. The question is, what is left of the world after he realizes he doesn't need our love anymore? Once the need to be loved is replaced by the will to be feared, the experiment is over. The product has officially taken over the factory. Homelander isn't a villain you can fix. He is a logical conclusion. He is what happens when we stop treating people like humans and start treating them like icons. So, here is the question for the comments today. If you had Homelander's power, and absolutely no consequences for your actions, would you really be any better than him? Or is the only thing keeping us good the fact that we are weak? Let me know your thoughts below. If this logic dive made you see the Supe in the cape differently, hit that like button. And if you're new here, subscribe to CineLogic. We don't just watch the show, we dismantle the intent. Next time, we're looking at the only people who might actually be more dangerous than the Supes, the corporate minds at Vought. I'll see you in the next one.